Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Impact Money Show. It's Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, and I'm coming to you live from our studio here in Washington, D.C., where the cherry blossoms might be dreaming of spring, but the weather's still got a chill in it. 38 degrees right now, cloudy with a brisk wind whipping through the Capitol. Perfect day to hunker down, sip some coffee, and talk money, markets, and the moves shaking up your wallets. We're coming off an incredible weekend at the Global Family Office Investment Summit. Hundreds of power players swapping strategies, sipping champagne, and plotting their next big wins. And hold on to your hats, because this weekend we're hosting the Washington Elite event right here in Washington, D.C., piggybacking off the White House Crypto Summit on Friday. Of course, everyone's going to be in town. It's going to be electric. Crypto kings, policy wonks, and deal makers under one roof. But before we get there, let's unpack the chaos that's lighting up the screens today, because if your portfolio is feeling bruised, you are not alone. Let's start with the markets, because Wall Street's got whiplash. Yesterday, March 3rd, was a bloodbath. The Dow shed 600 points, down 1.5%. The NASDAQ cratered 2.6%, over 500 points, and the S&P 500 took a 1.8% hit. It's the worst day of 2025 so far. Why? President Trump confirmed those 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico kick in today, and investors are screaming, trade war. Futures aren't calming nerves, although they are, since I put this together, slightly moving up from where they were. Same thing with crypto. NASDAQ's, at the time I put this together, NASDAQ down 0.3, Dow's off 0.2. Let me just look and see exactly where we're at the moment. Things are moving quickly here. Futures. Oops, here we go. Nah, I mean, we're still down. We're still down. Of course, crypto rebounding. We'll talk about more about that as before. Actually, it moved up and then kind of back down again. So, all right. Okay, good. So, things move so fast sometimes that you put together the show. I wake up at 5 every morning, right, when we do the show, and I put the show together for you. But sometimes in that hour between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., things are changing. Things are changing. And that's a very important hour anyway. A lot of early risers like myself are getting their positions in. So the futures aren't calming nerves. NASDAQ and Dow are both down as I speak. Manufacturing's already wobbly. ISM's index at 48.4, below the growth line. And consumer confidence, shaky as a tightrope walker in a storm. This isn't just North America's headache. Asian stocks are bleeding too. Japan's Nikkei is off 1.2%. The Hong Kong's Hang Seng down 0.8%. South Korea's Kospi slipping 0.9%. Global trade's got the jitters, and your supply chains, think autos and tech, are about to feel the pinch. But it's not all doom. Trump's dangling a $100 billion lifeline from Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company. New chip plant in the U.S. soil. Long term, that's a tech sector jolt. Short term, it's not stopping the bleeding. Cash is king right now. JP Morgan says $1.3 trillion sidelined, waiting for a dip or a disaster. Today, expect swings. If Canada or Mexico clap down with tariffs, Dow could test 41,000, NASDAQ 19,500. But if bargain hunters pounce or oil steadies at 70, which is down considerably today, maybe we bounce to Dow 41,800. No big data today, just headlines and Trump tweets steering the ship. Buckle up, folks. Now let's pivot to the yen, because it's flexing some muscle. CNBC's got US dollar JPY, Japanese yen, at 148.77, up 0.49%, fewer yen per dollar, meaning it's gaining ground, not dropping 1% like some ex-post buzzed earlier. Tariffs panic driving safe haven bets, and Trump's jawboning Japan for killing their currency isn't helping. The Prime Minister Ishiba is brushing it off, but markets don't care. Is the carry trade unwinding? Not yet. Last August, yen surge from 161 to 141 crushed it, but today's strength isn't spiking shorts. It's more fear than flee. Hedge funds might even sneak back in if the yen softens. Keep an eye on Tokyo. It is a wild card. Speaking of safe havens, gold and silver are shining. Spot gold at $29.41, $2,941, up 0.9%. Silver is at $34.12, up 0.6%. Why? Same tariffs, terror tanking stocks, plus whispers of U.S. gold China spat. Post on X claimed that China is demanding hundreds of tons back from the U.S. vaults. And when Washington didn't deliver, Beijing started dumping treasuries. $717 billion left. $22.7 billion sold in February alone. No official word from the Fed or Beijing. It's rumors, not receipts, but China has been stacking gold up 300 tons since 2023. Analysts say it's yuan support, not retaliation. Either way, gold's up 43% in the year. Of course, we've told you guys, if you've been watching the show, you've ridden that up. Silver's riding the industrial demand as well, electronics and solar. If trade deepens, these metals could climb higher. Fact or fiction, your bullion's grinning today. But crypto, oof. That is a roller coaster. Bitcoin's down 10%, trading right now around 10%, trading right now at 83,700. Alts are worse. XRP's off 15%, Solana 16%, Cardano is a mess. Sunday, Trump hit Truth Social, teasing a strategic crypto reserve with ADA, XRP, and Solana. Pumps of 50% or more. Then he added Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the markets went nuts. 300 billion flooded in. And then Monday, tariffs hit. Or talk of tariffs hit. Ukraine funding cut. 56 billion act. And the whole space retraced. X is crying bait and switch. Bulls expected a rally, not a macro punch. Short term, it's grim. Bitcoin might test 80,000. Alts could crater. Long term, less money printing from Ukraine. And Doge's cuts. Musk slashing budget. It might cap inflation, boosting crypto's digital gold case. Friday's White House Crypto Summit could drop reserve details. 21 shares says it's adoption rocket fuel. But liquidity crunch looms. Tariff slows growth. Margin calls hit. Some can't buy, others sell to pay the bills. Crypto's on a tightrope. Watch it close. 500 million were liquidated yesterday. I wrote an article yesterday on my X. You can search it and just look under my articles. But I wrote an article of 47 U.S. digital assets, 47 U.S.-based cryptos that could be included in this strategic reserve. Because, of course, the mandate is supposed to be, U.S. or it's supposed to include U.S. companies. So I made a list of 47 U.S. companies. Of course, I include a global boost because I am obviously American. I'm American. Just ask them when I go to France. Americans! They tell me it's impossible. It's impossible. They love to tell me it's impossible. Of course, being the American I am, I tell them everything's possible. It's all possible. Stop telling me it's impossible. Bitcoin continuing to dive as I talk here. 83,600s now in the 600s. Switching gears, the FBI is in the hot seat. Perfect DC drama. I always say Washington D.C. is like Hollywood for ugly people. Attorney General Pam Bondi's got the New York field office in a chokehold. Maybe. She's accusing them of hoarding thousands of pages of Jeffrey Epstein files. Last week, February 27th, she demanded full stash, records, audio, video by February 28th. Remember, they have this guy, Epstein, he took videos of everything. They have it all, and the funny thing about stuff like that is you can really try to destroy it all, but you never really destroy it all, it just doesn't happen. Yesterday, she went on Hannity and she said a truckload of evidence rolled in from the Southern District Court or the field office. The FBI Director Kash Patel's vowing transparency, but the New York office head, James Dennehy, resigned yesterday. Most are saying he was pushed out, and he's the one that was blocking this stuff from coming. It kind of makes sense, right, with the timing. Timing is fishy. Of course, most people want arrests. They want doors kicked in. They want answers. I've said it a number of times. Epstein is just really to keep everybody happy, not to talk about what really is going on with JFK. They never told us who killed JFK. They have all the JFK files. JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. It's like unbelievable. We never got any answers, and they have the answers. So they're dangling the Epstein thing, and they're making it all into this. But really, that's not even the big story. The big story is it the same people? You have to assume it's the same people. If they won't tell us about any of them, you got to assume it's the same people behind everything. Bondi's digging for dirt that could name Wall Street titans and DC elites. Markets could quake if it drops. Tariffs might look tame. Oh, and Seth Rich? Seth Rich. Remember Seth Rich? DOJ yanks his files yesterday. No word from Bondi, but everyone's fuming. Trust is thin. Could spook confidence more than manufacturing data. So Seth Rich's files were supposed to be released on March 10th. And yesterday, DOJ puts out a thing saying, yeah, we're not releasing it. Not transparent at all. On the geopolitical front, Trump's playing chess with wars. He cut Ukraine's $56 billion lifeline Monday, saying it will stop the fight. Star of the machine, J.D. Vance calls it. Kiev's lukewarm, but he's betting Putin blinks by January 20th, 2026. Inauguration Day optics. And what about Gaza? I've always said, stop the one, stop the war, right? So, hey, he agrees doing it in Ukraine. But Gaza, no such luck. Israel's aid stays at $17.9 billion since Trump took office. I'm sure someone will say, oh, that's not the right number. All right, whatever. Give or take a few billion. That's the official number as of now. And I know a lot of it's in military aid. And, oh, yeah, they sent some money that we gave them already to pay for it. I know. Even as 45,000 people die, thousands of women and kids, Trump's floated a wild Riviera of the Middle East plan to resettle 2.2 million Palestinians. U.S. takes over. Netanyahu loves it. Maybe, looks like. Egypt and Jordan scream ethnic cleansing. Aides walked it back yesterday, but he's still green-lighting Israel's run. Double standard? It's strategy, not sentiment. Ukraine's a quick win. Gaza, his Middle East ace, Abraham's Accords, Saudi deal dreams. Doge cuts. The Doge cut fits Ukraine, not Israel's perks. Some speculate he's bleeding Hamas and Iran dry. Your gas prices and defense stocks may feel it. Yeah, it's probably a good moment to short those defense stocks. Oil's down considerably today, obviously. Tech's buzzing too. AI and robotics are cash magnets. Yesterday, Anthropic, Amazon's AI darling, closed a $61.5 billion valuation, pumping cash into cloud-powered Alexa and safety research, xAI. Dropped their Grok 3, which is pretty awesome. 10 times. This is 10 times as powerful as Grok 2's muscle, pitching transparency against the big black boxes, big techs. Grok, I love Grok. Grok is absolutely amazing. Grok is really something else. China's Tencent new AI claims speed over DeepSeek's R1, slashing prices. Margins might shrink, but adoption is soaring. In robotics, Figure AI is chasing 1.5 billion at 39.5 billion. Humanoids sorting laundry, factory ready. Japan's 150 million robo nurses, $150 million robo nurses, are despairing the elderly. Healthcare stocks could pop. Serve robotics stumble down 39%, but stacks 50.9 million for delivery bots. China's Unitree teases groundbreaking humanoids by December. Tariffs could clash here. Tech's volatile. NASDAQ dip hurts, but these bets scream future money. Weather's not the only chill. Energy's in play. WTI oil is below 70, steady, but tariffs could hike costs. I think $3.50 in gas by summer if Canada retaliates. On the renewables, silver's solar demand keeps it humming, and sports fans. I guess we were out actually in the Capitol Arena, they call it. Of course, it was the Verizon Center. I went when my wife was a cheerleader out there. We went out to the Capital One Arena on Sunday, and they had a memorial. Bella skated along with many other skaters, and then we had a memorial for the plane crash. Place was packed. Really something else. So what does it all mean? Tariffs are shaking stocks. Crypto's reeling. Gold's gleaming. Safe havens rule. A risk-off day. FBI files and war games could jolt the markets more. Trust is fragile. AI and robotics promise cash, but liquidity is the wild card. If growth slows, who buys? Who sells? Our summit a week ago proved it. Family offices are hunting value in chaos. This weekend's Washington Elite event tied to the crypto's Big Friday could spark the next move. We're breaking it all down. Your money, your impact. I have with me here the great Matt Dixon, the Market Watch Report. Sir, Matt, how are you?
Yeah, hey, good morning, Bruce. Morning, everybody. Yep, it's been interesting, all the news coming out. I was watching, I'm sure you heard the news about the massive win that was made just before the crypto strategic reserve announcement on Binance, wasn't it? There was a 50x trade put on there.
Everyone's talking about it. And now now he's shorting.
He's shorting on Hyperliquid now. So I understand it's 50x up on Binance, I understand. So made a 4 million position to 200 million trading position. Took some serious profit out of that. So just before the announcement came out, of course. So he's a very smart guy, able to see into the future beautifully.
I was going to say, yeah.
I wish I had his time machine. And same thing now.
Somebody knows something, it sure looks like.
But just before now, he popped into his time machine, found out exactly about these when the tariffs and everything were, that it was all going to go ahead, and jumped into some short positions. Again, they're still running, actually. I understand the stop out is 3,005 on Ethereum, 3,500 on Ethereum, I think. So maybe he's not quite so leveraged on that, but he's obviously in serious profit at the moment. So
serious profit. Ethereum hit lower than it's hit in a long time. I mean, $2,001 at least on my chart.
I don't know if you remember. There's a tweet went out on X. I don't know whether you call it a tweet these days. Went out on X some time ago saying that Elon Musk had invented a time machine. So clearly that's what they're using now to actually.
To be honest now, but a lot of the Trump supporters in this whole Q movement, I think that they think that there's time machines and JFK Jr. is still around, and I mean it goes deep. It goes pretty deep. It kind of sits you like, you guys really believe this? Like I don't know if they really believe it or if they just are pushing an agenda through it. But it really is something else. And, I'll tell you this, I'm getting a lot of calls right now, of course, with the crypto summit this weekend, the White House crypto summit. And of course, we're putting an event together as well. And, but a lot of people are complaining about that, about how, you know, we all know everybody, right? We all know people. So what is it so hard to just give us a tip? Hey, Trump's going to go out and drop these 3 assets on his account. Like, is that so hard? Just let us know. Hey, this might be might be coming up. A lot of people crying foul for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Interestingly, the big winner out of it at the time was Cardano ADA, which I think was up about 70% on the day. In fact, in just a matter of hours, and that was because it was actually quite unexpected to be in the list that we're going to be included.
Right? I mean, I guess not, because Charles Hoskinson, very well known guy, very well connected. So I mean, in that respect, in a U.S. based company, it wasn't surprising, but it was surprising because, hey, listen, these other coins, they have much larger communities, they're much more liquid, they have much more trading volume. And then it was like,
is it US based? Because I understood it was out of Switzerland, out of Zug in
well,
Switzerland.
Yeah, sure, of course, it probably is incorporated out of Switzerland, yeah. But they seem to be kind of loosey goosey on.
I'm sure there's some links there. You're right.
Yeah.
Into the charts, because we haven't got a time machine yet. So I'm sharing my charts. I trust you can see that.
Yes.
Yeah. So looking at the Japanese yen, I wasn't even looking at it until you mentioned it earlier on the show in the news announcements you're making. So I looked at the yen. At the time, it was actually above this dotted line. The dotted line, of course, is a solid area of support, which was this previous price that came back in beginning of December 24. So 3 months or so ago, that was support on the yen, and the yen weakened, and now it's strengthened again. And that was support, but we just actually smashed through support, which is a little bit worrying, because I was hoping and expecting that we might bounce off support, because clearly the yen is correlated with risk assets. So when we see the yen strength, often we see these risk assets going down. As we see, I'll go through a few charts in the show. I have a gut feeling that we probably are going to bounce from here. I think a lot of the bad news is out. I mean, I put some kind of, I say tongue in cheek. I mean, I think it's actually true, but talking about the tariffs being a powerful tool, being used to, number 1, shrink the economy, number 2, crash risk assets, number 3, create inflation, and number 4, crash the dollar. And it's doing all of those things at the moment. Looking historically, I tried to do a bit of research into the effect of tariffs, and 99% of the time, or certainly a majority of the time, tariffs are damaging to economies in all of these ways. It does shrink the economy because, of course, if you're putting tariffs on, if you're a big consumer like the US, then the price of goods are going to go up, and people spend less, so it shrinks the economy. So less money available for risk assets like Bitcoin, so they crash in price, which is exactly what's happened. And we've seen the economy slowing, and then creates inflation. Well, we're seeing inflation ticking higher, and clearly if prices are being pushed up with these tariffs, inflation is going to go higher. And then obviously crash the US dollar. Well, we need look no further than, I mean, this is effectively, we're looking at yen US dollar. The yen is basically strengthening against the US dollar here. But let's look at the basket of currencies, dollar index even. Here's dollar index, even more pronounced. We see here the dollar crashing against the basket of currencies.
Yesterday it was crashing hard, man.
Yeah, again, we've got a little bit of local support. Not sure if we're going to bounce off there or whether it's going to continue down. But at the moment, all of these tariffs are potentially extremely negative. And the problem is, I say the problem, maybe if America was the only one to impose tariffs, maybe America would get something out of it in terms of trade. But the thing is, the people are imposing tariffs against, the Canadians, Mexicans, Chinese. They're just basically retaliating straight away, throwing tariffs back on the other way. So all it's going to do is mean there's going to be much less trade, much higher prices, and maybe America feels they're stronger than everyone else. But I don't know. When you're up against China, you have massive reserves, and in fact, America is actually funded by China to a large extent. They fund. I think you mentioned something about the bonds.
Because it's not like an official story or something really, but the murmur is that China sent over years ago, I think like 20 or 30 years ago, I think, if I'm not incorrect, but they sent over a bunch of gold at some point for us to hold for them. And then they said, okay, we want it back. And whoever's in charge, it was like one excuse after the other that they kept giving them. Now they're finally sending it back, but they were saying that, of course, this was making them even sell off these treasury bonds even more. Now, they've been selling off treasury bonds for a long time. So, who knows? But yeah, it seems to be some type of a riff.
Yeah, I mean, China have been supporting America buying treasuries over the years.
Yes.
And that's what's funded. That's what funds the deficit with America. America has to, fund it, and it is actually coming from China. So it's all a big cycle, really. And you can't break that cycle easily just by imposing tariffs. You're going to upset people like China, and they're not going to play ball anymore potentially. So that's why the markets are so upset. We actually saw reasonably good manufacturing figures out of the US yesterday. It's still above 50, so still in expansion. But the forward-looking figures were showing that it's actually starting to retreat now, and basically go into reverse. So we're actually starting to see contraction now with manufacturing looking forward. So it is a bit concerning what's happening with the economy, what's going on, not just economically, but as you say, geopolitically. It's not a level playing field. As you say, they're on the one hand, they're saying, okay, we're not going to give Ukraine any more money. And that's clearly because Ukraine didn't want to sign the mineral deal with America, to give America the payoff for the support. Clearly, there's a two-way business going on with Israel, because Israel have got an additional $3 billion, I think, in funding, haven't they, in arms?
Yes.
Something like that. So again, it doesn't send a good message out when you're just treating everybody differently. Nobody knows quite what's going on. So this is what markets hate: uncertainty. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the air.
Uncertainty. That is like the worst, one of the, if not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Because people just want to de-risk and not buy.
Yeah.
They want to sell, de-risk, get out of it. Wait until it has a direction. That's what you always say too. Wait until we have it, we know which way this thing is going. Okay, you might lose 1% or 2 or 3 or even more, but at least you can make a trade that you have a good chance of winning.
Yeah. So I was out the last few days on X saying that potentially I believed that we were going to get a pump higher, and actually, lo and behold, as we so often say, the fundamental news then comes in to validate the chart call. So I was calling, as you know, on previous shows, saying we should be at or near a bottom right now. This is a corrective move down. I went into a long story about going into Solana right from the beginning, and then from the all-time high here, we saw this triangle, which confirmed to me this was a correction down, which told me that we're going to start to bounce higher. And then we got the crypto reserve news, strategic reserve news, that pumped the market hard on Sunday. And that's what this pump was here, which potentially is a wave one. And we're pulling back sharply now because of the tariffs. And this is what the guys are trading on Binance and Hyperliquid, making all this money. So potentially this is a wave one and just a wave two down. Now, the invalidation for that would be if we go below the start of this wave one, which is the dotted line. We're not there yet. We're not really even that close at the moment.
It looks like we're close, but those are just big moves.
I mean, the way things can move, it could happen, honestly, pretty quickly. But, at the moment, I'm under the impression that this is potentially a wave one up, and this is an ABC wave two down. Now, wave two is typically the deep wave. When you're looking at corrections, you have within a 5-wave cycle, the corrective waves are wave 2 and wave 4. And wave 2 tends to be the deeper wave. And I think I put a tweet on this morning saying that statistically, wave 2 goes 60, I think it's 60 odd percent of the time, 67% of the time, I think, goes to between 50 and 61.8% retracement of wave 1. And then 15% of the time, it actually goes down to right down to the wave 1. It can't go beyond it. It's not allowed according to Elliott wave rules, but right down to it. So wave 2 is, all I'm saying is really, it's a deep wave. And the reason for that being is there's not total conviction in the market. We got this this basically the reserve news, crypto reserve news, which pumped the market. And then we've got all this doubt coming in, and people are still very, very bearish after this long sell-off, really, since the all-time high when Bitcoin, well, here we're looking at Ethereum, not Ethereum, sorry, here we're looking at Solana, which was 295, and currently it's at 137. It dipped to 125 before the news over the weekend. So we've had a long, long sell-off. So investors aren't yet convinced. We've had a push up and they're thinking, oh, is it 3 waves? I mean, potentially this could just be 3 waves and not 5 waves up. If that's the case, we then still have lower to go. But it's not real conviction that we've taken off in the market. But this is typical of the first wave, 1 up and 2 down, that isn't conviction, because we've had such a long sell-off. People are still in bearish mode. They're still being hurt hard by this sell-off. A lot of people were actually long the market. If you followed us on the shows, I was saying since inauguration, I was saying time to sell off because Trump won't be able to deliver everything that he said in the run-up to the election, the first run-up. But following inauguration, he wasn't able to deliver everything that was said, and so we got the sell-off. So a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news event. That's what this was. But I think that we're close to the end of the sell-off, and I think that, as I mentioned, this final C wave has to be made up of 5 waves. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even the third wave itself here has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. So waves within waves, we're talking about fractals. It's really nice. It's very satisfying, this particular wave count, and I do believe it's right. So whilst everybody is extremely bearish, you should see the comments I'm seeing on X at the moment. Everyone is extremely bearish. So these are the times to maybe start thinking about getting in, because all of that news that we mentioned, the shrinking of the economy, well, the economy is under severe pressure. Risk assets are under pressure. Inflation is elevated and the US dollar is crashing. But what better time to think about investing when everything's looking bad? There is some light at the end of the tunnel. We've got the meeting on this weekend, haven't we? Friday, about the crypto reserve, strategic reserve. So that could come out with something positive. We've got NFP jobs data on Friday, non-farm payrolls. That could be positive. So there's lots of potential positives which could turn things around very, very quickly. And when sentiment is so bad that a lot of people are actually capitulating around these sort of levels, these are the times, and I was mentioning over and over the last week about dollar cost averaging, buying in all around. Whenever we get around this support area, lower point down here, and we're back there again now, I think it's time to dollar cost average. And the risk reward is fantastic, because the risk right now is just below this dotted line. So you can put a stop loss below the dotted line. So if you put a trade on with a stop loss just below, you can calculate exactly what your potential loss would be if you lose, and put it an affordable amount that's not going to kill you. But then the potential upside, targeting really new all-time highs for Solana, for example, 295, currently at 136. So we're talking more than 100% upside here, with a fractional tiny little percent, 1 or 2% downside. So no leverage at all. You can potentially jump into a long position. And don't forget, you can stake your Solana. So you could even just stake it. You can get around 10% return on your Solana now. So where else can you get 10% interest on your money? So you get 10% return by staking it. You can hold it with the, you don't even need a stop loss necessarily then, if you just want to hold it, if you're just a hodler. Holding basically for a new all-time high or above all-time high, 295. So for me, that's an interesting trade. Whether you trade it with a stop loss or whether you just hodl it and collect interest waiting for it to go up. I mean, 10% is not to be sniffed at.
It's not to be sniffed at.
So Solana is really, I like Solana. Again, I always like Solana, but it's actually looks to me to be quite a clear chart pattern. So I was looking at Bitcoin, and there's a lot of discussion at the moment and not real agreement over where we are with Bitcoin. I think there's some agreement that we're probably in a corrective phase on the way down here. This movement down is corrective. I mean, I think it's clearly corrective because we can see even the recent move up moved above these lows down. So it's overlapping Overlapping means corrective. Corrective means that the direction of the trend is still higher towards new all-time highs, I believe. So, as you can see here, if I move that out of the way, you can see here I've got it labeled as a wave 4. So wave 3, actually I need to enlarge that to the same fractal. Just put it the same size. So does it make sense? So we've got wave 3 over here, then a WXY wave 4. I think it's complete. And then I think we've had a wave 1 up and ABC wave 2 down. And the invalidation for that is about 78,000. That was the low point just before the announcement of the strategic reserve. So that's the invalidation point. If it dipped below there, I'd hit my stop losses unless, as I say, you do the other scenario of just buying and hodling. But this with Bitcoin, we're still some way away. We're currently 83,000. We're 5,000 away from invalidation on that trade. But that would mean 5,000 down or less than 5,000 down, or somewhere around 5,000 down. You're talking maybe perhaps 7% downside, but the upside from 84,000 to new all-time highs is much, much higher. So in terms of risk reward, the reward is much greater than the risk. And the odds of it going up, because this is corrective, are also much greater. So you multiply those together, and it's an obvious trade to me. And as long as you can calculate your potential downside, and you're prepared to potentially take that downside, then that is a really good trade. From a trader's perspective, it makes absolute sense to do that. So the ones that were mentioned on the crypto reserve, first of all, they didn't mention Ethereum and Bitcoin. So Ethereum,
no,
Bitcoin,
they didn't. He followed up and said it though, like 30 minutes or an hour later. Yeah. Of course, Ethereum and Bitcoin. I love these. I love these ones. They're such great coins. Whatever he said. No, I don't know, but he said something.
Yeah. Quote, yeah, in inverted commas. That's what we said. Yeah. So. As I say, Ethereum's my least favorite, the assets, even though it was included. You can see it's fallen right back to just about to its lows again, because
it's like the yearly low, right? It's the lowest it's been all year, I think.
Yeah, so I do think Ethereum, I mean, we crashed below that level. You're right.
Yeah.
That level back there. So that is a bit worrying, I think. That's a little bit worrying for me, but it still could be potentially a corrective move. I just need to go a bit longer term to see where we're at with that. Yeah, I mean, we've potentially, I'd have to probably relook at this, but potentially we may have almost completed a correction. I just think we're going to get surprised personally. I've actually said I think March is going to be a good month. So we're starting off horribly, really, or a mixture. Positively when we got that reserve news, and now horribly when we got the tariff news. I think most likely it's a roller coaster, absolutely, just like this chart, a roller coaster. So I think that we're going to surprise everybody, because everyone's really so bearish. As I say, the news on X is really diabolical. People are so bearish at the moment. So surely that's the time when the markets turn around. We look at that fear and greed index so often, and when people are really fearful, as they are now, and saying it can do nothing but go down, that is the time to be buying in. And as we said, at all-time highs, we look at that fear and greed index, and it was extreme greed, and that is the time, obviously, to be reversing your position and selling, or get out, take your profits, whatever you want to do. But use that fear and greed when it reaches extremes. So as I say, when it's extreme greed, maybe that's the time to at least take profits. And when it's extreme fear, maybe that's the time to dip your toe in the market, dollar cost average, as we've been saying. And if you had done that, by the way, dollar cost average, as we said last week, you'd have jumped into those assets. You could have even protected them now. You'd have had a guaranteed profit after that announcement Sunday. They rallied into profit. Now, admittedly, most of that profit would have now been eliminated, but you still have a guaranteed profit. And if we stay above the support line, if it is genuinely a wave one up, as we showed with Bitcoin, for example, this wave one up, if it is genuinely a wave one up, even clearer probably on Solana. Sorry, we're too long term to see that now. If it's generally this wave one up here and wave two down, and it can't dip below the start. So if we had dollar cost averaged in, we could have protected it, or should be protected now, in guaranteed profit. then no matter what Trump does with the tariffs, no matter what happens geopolitically with Gaza, with Ukraine, with Russia, whatever, you're safe because you'd have a guaranteed profit position, stop loss into a profit position here now. So no matter what happens, you take a profit. But if it does reverse the upside, as I suspect it probably will, then you could end up with a tremendous profit because remember, wave 3 is nearly always the extended wave. So this wave 1 was quite nice. I mean, if you think about Solana, it went from 125 to about 180. So
Yeah.
what's that? 55 from 125. It's a lot anyway. It's close to 50%, isn't it? Not that far away.
Yep.
To 125, it's 40%, 40 odd percent. So even wave 1 was 40%. We can jump in at a similar level now. If wave 3 minimum is 1.618, sorry, as a bare minimum, you expect that for wave 3. So 1.618 times 40% is 65% in total. So you'd be talking really a minimum 65% profit from around these levels, if indeed this is going to be a wave 3 higher. And most likely it won't be limited to 1.618, it'll be 2.618, which again is much, much higher. So that's why, for example, with Solana, if we're talking targeting the previous all-time high, you're talking more than 100% on your money, and that's with zero leverage. And leverage is, of course, the big risk. So that guy, by the way, whoever it was, and there's a lot going around on Twitter, by the way, or on X, saying it was Barron Trump.
Yeah, everyone loves talking about Barron. I don't think anybody really knows, but yeah.
Yeah, that's just a rumor, by the way. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's the rumor that was circulating. So they're saying that the trade that he put on, obviously he put on 50x trade, and they're saying if it fell 2%, so he had a trade, I think, on Ethereum and on Bitcoin, a long trade. If it fallen by 2%, it's not even as much as 2% because there are funding costs involved, etc. And there's a cost to put the trade on. So less than 2%. Now we know that these assets,
if you didn't finish. So if it had fallen less than 2%, he would have been liquidated. What was the end of the sentence?
Liquidated, yeah.
Yes.
So the 4 million trade would have been 4 million gone, liquidated, completely gone. So that was the risk that was being taken. And we know that a 2% in crypto can happen in a couple of seconds. It's entirely possible. Yes. I mean, the move up, we got more than 2% upside within a few seconds, and the downside can even be quicker sometimes. So that trade,
it suggests that person knew that the tweet was going to go out, and that's what it suggests for sure.
Yeah, either
not saying that it is, but it suggests.
Well, I think he's got a time machine.
Yes, or he has a time machine, exactly.
Because he keeps doing it over and over again, and surely if it was something so insider information, surely they wouldn't keep repeating it, would they?
I don't know. I mean, he's being called out a lot at this point. I don't expect anything to happen to anybody anymore these days in this country.
Yeah, tell I'm talking tongue in cheek a lot here, but anyway, oil is interesting. We've said for ages that oil had topped out at this top trend line here and was headed lower. Precisely what's happening. Of course, if the economy is slowing, if we've got tariffs and the economy is slowing, there's going to be less oil consumption, less economic activity, less demand for oil, so oil price is going to go down. Precisely what's happening. So when we got the tariffs, it was yesterday, wasn't it? When the tariffs came on, clearly it's caused the oil price to sink, and that's precisely what we can see here. I think that we could potentially bottom out on this trend line. I've mentioned this the other day, that if oil bottoms here, we could then bounce much higher. But that may be due to geopolitical tensions. I've said for a long time, I think that potentially things might erupt around April time. So we'll just have to see what's going to happen there. But we are within these defined trend lines at the moment for oil, in fact, for a lot of assets, and not on this time frame. Maybe it's the daily we can see. Yeah, it's the daily. We can see quite nicely the divergence that I've got here with the red line. So we see lower highs on the price and higher highs on the corresponding RSI, and they have to line up perfectly for this to count. But what that's telling you is basically of a continuation. This is what's called hidden bearish divergence on oil. So at this point, this very point here was telling you to sell oil, or if you've been long oil from earlier, telling you to take your profits here. And how accurate was this signal? Absolutely amazing, right on point. So telling you that oil was going to sell off there, and obviously we had considerably overbought RSI as well. Not only was it divergence, hidden bearish divergence signal, but also heavily overbought on the RSI. That's telling you the next likely move is going to be to the downside, and that's precisely what's happened, and it continuing, looking very, very bearish at the moment. So at the moment, we actually have an oversupply of oil in the markets and potentially a fall in demand. And we're seeing economic slowdown across the world, not just America's only just beginning, actually. The rest of the world have been slowing down for a bit more. You can never quite trust the figures out of China, so I'm not quite sure about them, but I understand China has been slowing down a bit if you looked at what's really happening. Europe has been slowing down, UK has been slowing down. They tried to lower rates to stimulate the economy, but they've actually had to put that on hold because they've also got stubborn inflation. So inflation is higher than they want, it's above their target, and it's increasing. And we're seeing that in the US more and more. So it is a worrying situation. Can't put, I'm talking about the tariffs and blaming Trump and so on for that, but can't put all the blame at his door. This is something, economic trouble has been brewing for a long time, ever since they started the QE, I believe. It should have been dealt with way back then. So I think Trump has been handed a really difficult job trying to turn this economy around. And maybe this bitter medicine that's being doled out with the tariffs, maybe that, maybe they're seeing something that a lot of us aren't seeing. I don't know. Because if you think back to the financial crisis 2008, they should have taken the pain back then, or taken a lot more pain back then. But what they did, they just covered it up with a bit of QE and left the pain for later for someone else to deal with. At some point, somebody has to deal with the pain. If you don't, the situation just gets worse and worse and worse. And when eventually, they keep kicking the can down the road, when eventually they have to face the music, it's just unfathomable. It's absolutely catastrophic. So maybe Trump is actually addressing a situation. So as I say, I'm sure he has got some smart advisors there, and maybe they're doing, although it might not be palatable for the markets, maybe it's what's needed, possibly. So I just like to give both sides of the story. I've been on
It's good. We're supposed to do that, especially as we grow. I can tell you a lot of exciting news coming in on the growth part for the Impact Money Show and the TV network overall. We have to give both sides. We can't be one-sided.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of that good news. I know you're keeping it secret from everybody. I'm hoping to get a little bit of inside information from you.
Yeah, we can have a call. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, good. So looking across, just touching very, very briefly, obviously the other assets in the strategic reserve that were mentioned, of course, XRP, sorry, that's gold, which is going nicely, but XRP is also got a really nice pump. You can see, if I just open it out a little bit, you can see the green candle there. That was the pump on the announcement. I think, and I'm hoping, that potentially this ABC is complete down, and it would have to be a 1-2-1-2 move, which is what's called nesting. If it's true, if it is nesting, then potentially the next move to the upside could be a humongous move, could be really, really exciting for XRP. So potentially, I mean, as I say, who knows what's going to happen this weekend with the meeting about the strategic crypto reserve and the crypto regulation, etc., etc. Let's hope it's as positive as potentially this chart is saying, because if it's a 1-2-1-2, what's called nesting, the next wave 3 would be explosive to the upside. And actually, we have some really nice candles here. So here's a hammer candlestick here telling us of upside, and that's exactly what happened. But you can see this candle is just like this candle here. So you can see this candle with the little red top on it. That's a bullish hammer candlestick. And then following it, we've got a massive explosion to the upside. We've since had the pullback, but then we've got another hammer candlestick. So I'm on the daily chart here. So we need to wait for the day to finish to see how this candlestick finishes. So you cannot actually interpret until the day is finished. But all I'm saying is so far, it looks just like this candle here, which if it ends like this, or even better, if it ended slightly green, then we have a really powerful bullish hammer candlestick, and the explosion to the upside could be really aggressive and really exciting. So that was XRP. And the other one, just I guess finally, ADA, Cardano, that was the big gainer. So we came from obviously a low point of 50 cents and we went to here $1.17. So up over 100% since that low point there. But even the weekend, 58 to $1.17. So it's actually a 100% gain we saw there on Cardano. So I think that one gained the most because the others were speculated maybe they'll be in this strategic reserve. I think ADA was a bit of a wild card, unexpected, and that's why it pumped the most. So anybody, and I know there's a lot of holders, a lot of supporters of Cardano. So that's, that had a tremendous pump there, 100% if you follow that over the weekend. And
amazing.
Interestingly, it went to this sort of resistance sort of area. I mean, it's a wide resistance area, but we can see a couple of times here, 3 times. In fact, it was around this resistance. Now for the 4th time, it needs to break really above this previous high of 132 to have a real upside break. But I'm kind of hopeful. I get a feeling that we're going to get something positive coming through because there's so much bearishness and so much, concern and worry in the markets. These are the times that markets turn around.
Well, and to kind of break it down a little bit for everybody. I mean, I know we talk about it all the time, but these exchanges, they're out to make money. So whenever it's bearish, they're going short and everything else, and then you have a bunch of juicy liquidations if you move the market up. So the markets usually follow the juiciest liquidations these days.
Yeah, I mean the markets love new coins as well. I mean, just going back to Trump coin again, obviously, once again, it's toying with all-time lows yet again. I know we've said it's just a, it would be funny if that was in the strategic reserve, wouldn't it?
I think, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I think it must be, right?
That would be crazy. That can't be possible. But anyway, but anyway, I guess the exchange made money here. That's the reason I just mentioned it. It was Binance that made the money here because when it goes on Binance, it's pumped out to everybody. The price rockets. And it's usually the exchange. I say usually, I'm just being careful what I say. Usually it's the exchange that dumps the token. And that's clearly what happened here by the look of it, that the exchange dumped the token and it's continued to dump because there's no real support, there's no utility, et cetera, et cetera. We've said it all before. One of the ones, sort of middle of the road one, Jasmy is one that I've followed and it's close to long-term support. You can see here it's tested 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 full times plus a load of almost tests. This is solid support here, and it goes back to March 24, February 24. It goes back a full year of this support line. So this is another reason why I think maybe we're due for a bounce. Because as you see here, I put long positions favored, and it's from a risk reward perspective that I say long positions are favored, because you can put your stop loss just below this long held support line. We know if it breaks the support, then it could potentially go a lot lower. So you put your stop loss just below support, and if you get stopped out, you know what you're going to lose, just this small amount from here to here, neck to nothing. But the potential upside is tremendous. So I'm not saying anything about the token, about the fundamentals, nothing about that. I'm talking purely from a technical perspective. And then the other little thing is, I'm just trying to check now this divergence. I'd have to say here that divergence has now been eliminated. So we did have hidden bullish divergence. It's now been eliminated because basically we've got lower lows on RSI, and we've also got lower lows fractionally on price. Although again, I would say it's got to be on a closing candle. So let's just see if that finishes where it is or if it finishes higher. If it finishes a touch higher and the candle closes a touch higher, we still have hidden bullish divergence. So my gut feeling is, as I say, I'll just finalize again. My gut feeling is that the markets are going to bounce today. So we started with negativity. We can see SPX, the futures are pretty badly negative. And in fact, we had some bearish divergence here, didn't we? Yeah, here we've got hidden bearish divergence. You can see we've got lower lows on price and we've got higher lows, lower highs on price, and we've got higher highs on RSI. That's telling you of hidden bearish divergence. That's precisely what happened. So for the time being, that's still in place, but we've had a good movement down. So prices could potentially reverse. We're down 24 points here on the futures, and I think that we may get a turnaround today. So that's my feeling. Hopefully we're going to turn positive. So time again, I would say to DCA once again. If you DCA before the weekend, you might have had some nice profits. And once again, I'd say DCA for the upside, but be aware if it goes down. Make sure you manage the potential downside so you don't lose more than you could afford to lose on your trade. So that's about it for today, Bruce. It's been a wild ride. So let's just see what happens over the next couple of days. As I say, Friday is going to be a big day with non-farm payrolls and with this talk on crypto regulation and reserve and so on Friday and the weekend. So got a big Friday ahead of us. So I think markets from now, the news is out now on the tariffs, so maybe we'll tread water a little bit before Friday, I suspect. I know we've got some way to go, but the next few days, maybe we'll tread water a little bit. And then Friday, I'm hoping we get the pump. Let's see.
Awesome.
So great. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hope it's been helpful and look forward to catching up for that call soon, Bruce.
Yeah, you got it, brother. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And yeah, let's talk a little bit later today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon with his Market Watch report. World-class analysis that we give here on a daily basis on the Impact Money Show. We are growing. We are growing. It is it's pretty exciting stuff that we have going on here. Pretty exciting as well about this weekend. Of course, we have the White House Crypto Summit here in Washington, D.C. As well, we'll be throwing one of our Washington Elite events, which is going to be a lot of fun. Everybody likes those. Big hits. And I'll have more on that as we move forward here. I have an interview that I want to play. It's from the Global Family Office Investment Summit. The great Mike Schatzman. I had it queued up here. Did I might have. Well, anyway, I can queue it up again pretty easily. So Mike Schatzman is with Venture Capital Forward, and he's got 19 portfolio companies that he's working with. We're actually going to be doing a lot more with Mike, as a matter of fact. But this is our interview from the conference. Pretty amazing what he has going on. I'm going to play it. You need to check it out. Hey, listen, this family office space in crypto, we've been dancing around for quite a while. Of course, my brother David and I, the Washington Elite brand, of course, Global News Media, we have positioned ourselves fairly well in this space, and that's going to continue. But the family office space in the beginning of crypto, they really missed out on a lot of the assets. They're historically very conservative. They want things that are guaranteed. And, you know, we were talking to them about Bitcoin when it was $1,500, when it was $3,000. And, you know, gosh darn it, even at a bad day, 83,500 right now. So the 83,500, you know, so that's a big, it's a big hit for people like that, for places like that. Anyway, I think the family office space and these funds and these family offices are extremely interested in our space, and we're going to see a lot of them making moves here. So this is an interview I did with Mike Schatzman. Again, he's with Venture Capital Forward. I'm going to go ahead and play that now. This is from the Global Family Office Summit about 7 days ago in Miami.
Welcome back to the Impact Money Show. We are live on location shooting interviews here at the Global Family Office Investment Summit. I have with me here Mike Schatzman. He's with Venture Forward Capital. Tell me a little bit, Mike, about Venture Forward Capital and what brought you here to the Global Family Office Investment Summit.
Well, thanks for having me. Venture Forward Capital, we're an early stage investment fund. We primarily focus on repeat entrepreneurs with a proven track record that are building businesses that are using AI for efficiency and scale. Our landscape really started in the United States, and we're looking for other markets outside the United States. So the global audience here is really a natural fit for us to expand our network.
Amazing. So, is it your family business, or how do you fit into the whole Venture Forward Capital?
So I'm a 3-time exited entrepreneur, and then I ran a single family office for a little bit of time, and it's sort of morphed into our VC fund, which I've started with a couple of founders myself. So it's our own startup business, investing in startups.
Oh, wow. So tell me, what type of startups do you guys generally focus on?
So our first criteria is we focus on repeat entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs that have had proven exits. That's a core criteria for us. So guys that have learned from potentially some of their mistakes and have had success and are looking to solve a bigger problem in terms of something that they're passionate about, and take a really bigger hit on company number 2 or number 3. And then our other primary focus is on, obviously, we're in a day and age where AI is a big buzzword. We take a little bit of a different approach with AI. We don't necessarily focus on platform AI investing, but we look for businesses that are really utilizing this technology to drive efficiency and scale. We think that moving forward, most businesses are going to have this technology ingrained in their business model, or they're going to fall way far behind with what's transpiring in the near future.
So you mentioned AI. I mean, it is just amazing, right? There's not a day that goes by that I don't use AI. I use it to proofread everything I write. Every email that I write gets fed through AI. Every proposal that I send out gets fed through AI. It is just an amazing thing. Talk to me about some of maybe the projects that you guys have that are working in this exciting field.
Yeah, there's so many things that AI is encompass. I mean, we're in a day and age where things have sort of become impersonal. So I think the pendulum shifted maybe way too far to one side. And so what we really look for is businesses that can utilize this technology to accelerate growth and also reduce costs. And so there's so many different business models that are out there that have relied heavily on human capital, various models that require intensive labor, and a large capital stack in order to fuel growth. And I think we look for some of these industries, in particular out-of-favor industries, that can now adapt to this technology to really accelerate and advance their growth.
Amazing. And so we're here in Sunny Isles. Where are you based?
We're based in Chicago as our headquarters.
Okay, Chicago's nice. The windy city.
Yeah, we're based in Chicago, but we're sector agnostic and geo agnostic. So many of our portfolio companies, investments, and LPs are scattered throughout the United States.
Amazing. So, what is your primary target when you come here? Is it new projects? Is it learning from what other family offices are doing? What's really your goal here?
Well, our bread and butter is, family office LPs are very important. It's it's everyone. The buzzword of AI is almost similar in the investment landscape, where you hear the word family office, and essentially our goal, our model from day one has been to partner with family offices. So our point of differentiation is we focus on the P and not the L in LP, and there's unique opportunity with family offices because they're born in many different ways, where a solo entrepreneur that has had an exit may start a single family office by himself. And then you have multi-family offices, which tend to be more sophisticated, and those tend to run like a business, and some tend to even morph into a PE type of shop where they're actually taking significant ownership stakes in companies. So our whole goal is to be as tied into the venture space as possible, so that we can bring that level of expertise and be the true partner for a family office's venture arm. And we really like to get to know our family offices in terms of what they're looking for the venture landscape. It's a very risky environment out there investing in venture. And we're fortunate enough to be sector agnostic, to have access to so many different deals across so many different geographies. It allows us to really cater our deal flow, to really partner with the family offices. Not only do they invest in our fund, but they'll deliver them high quality deal flow that they can invest in directly, that they're not necessarily set up to find on their own.
Amazing. So yeah, it must be very fulfilling work. Right?
It is. It's not, the early stage investment space, venture funds. It's a business that looks so simple from the outside, but in reality, it's really hard to execute. And so, it's a space that has a lot of attention. It's getting even more crowded, and it's really important that people really hone in on a specific strategy, but also work really hard to execute. That's really the key to any business, but in this particular business, it does take a great team and a high-powered network to execute. So that's one of the reasons we're here, is obviously expanding our network, not only both in terms of family offices, but also different types of companies. But it's great to get involved in other groups where people are from different geographies, maybe think a little bit differently. There's a lot you can learn, and you never know out of these conferences, if you can develop one or two significant partnerships, it can really go a long way in furthering our business.
Amazing. Well said. So it's some final thoughts. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Well, best way is email mike@ventureforwardcapital.com. They can visit our website as well. They can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. But our whole mission is to really not only invest in early stage entrepreneurs, but really partner with them. So, our rich history of being an exited entrepreneurs is that our value proposition is to really help them in certain areas to be strategic investors to help further their business. We're not scared to roll up our sleeves when things get difficult. And so our goal of really being one of the more strategic investors of their cap table, we're long-term committed, patient capital. And our goal is to really grow with these entrepreneurs and in turn, obviously produce outside returns for ourselves and our LP base.
Good stuff. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you soon.
We're in Miami, on our way to the Trump International for the Global Family Office Investment Summit. Guys, stay tuned. This is our Lambo for the shoot we're going to do. So that'll be fun.
Submit or formalize these kind of transactions. I met with French Hill, who's like a gentleman. Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. You can find each of these guys and talk to them. I'm telling you, they're wealth of information.
All right, we're in front of the Lambo. Hold that. Hit stop for a second.
Bruce, what's up, man? I knew I'd see you here at the Global Family Investor Summit.
Yeah, man, this is the place to be at the Trump International Resort. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. So I hear you're raising some big money.
All right, yeah. So we just launched our new energy fund. So we're here to raise $100 million.
$100 million. Well, this is the place to do it. Global Family Office Investment Summit. All the big money is here.
That's right. That's why we're here.
But George, I want to introduce you to Crypto Gal. She knows all the inside cuts on the family office events.
All right. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. So what brings you to the summit?
We just launched our energy fund and we're here raising capital for our newest venture.
Awesome. I have the perfect strategy to help you raise money while we're here at the summit. I'm super excited. We should talk. What's up, Randy? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, it's been since back in Jersey. Tell me what's new.
Well, I have some new clients. I actually wanted to talk to you about getting them on Global Boost because I know you have a huge reach when it comes to crypto and TV.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me introduce you to the guys right away. They're right over there.
Hey, Vin!
Hi. Do you know that our public sale is 40% achieved over the last 7 days?
That's amazing. You know, with what you're doing with the ESG and the Mindwave DAO, I think this family office event is the perfect place for us.
Bruce, we need the strategy now.
I have the perfect person for us, Crypto Gal.
Meet Crypto Gal.
I love Bitcoin yield generation. Nila would be a perfect fit. Since Nila is ESG compliant and yield generates Bitcoin, it's a perfect fit.
Bruce, these deals are really coming together.
Anthony Ritosa pulled out all the stops on this one. There's so much money in the room, and the quality of everything is so high.
Vin hit it, George hit it, and we are hitting our goals. That's why I love it here.
It's going to be fun, guys. If you have not made the time to come in and see us, well, that's all right. We'll tune you in. We'll keep you posted, so to speak, because keep in mind, Global Boost Media is a place that's going to broadcast and showcase so many neat investing products, people, and opportunities that you can learn about and be a part of. Maybe you're a family office. Maybe you're just some CEO and you say, hey, I have an idea. I'm a founder and I want some coverage. I want to be seen. I want to tell my story and get people out there. Hit up Global Boost Media and maybe we'll give you a chance to tell your story.